It was on SNL, and so all the black SNL cast members are at this canned food drive at the Wayne Manor, right? And so they're kind of in line picking up their food, and Bruce Wayne's there to greet them, and they're kind of like, thank you, Bruce Wayne, right? But you know Batman, right? He's like, yes, I do. It's like, can you tell him to stop beating up black people? You gotta see this skit.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. ¿Cómo estás, everybody? Hola, siempre. I don't know any Spanish, but we're just going to go straight into it. So, did you see the article? I literally just saw it today, and it fucking wrecked my ass about the Ajima in Long Beach.
No.
Bro.
I haven't heard about this.
Lady in Long Beach, I think she's a liquor store owner, Korean lady, around the same age as our moms, maybe, or maybe more or less your mom.
Yeah.
But
my mom's 60s.
Okay. Yeah. 60s. So the same age as around your mom, runs the store. Guy comes in, stabs her in the fucking neck like 10 times.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
dude.
my fucking God.
Some dude in Long Beach goes in there and stabs her neck, and she's paralyzed from the neck down now.
She's alive?
She's alive, barely. And I think this was her last year before she was about to retire.
Oh.
My fucking worst nightmare, dude.
Yeah.
That is literally my worst fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. That shit makes my stomach curl.
It's like because my parents have been working. I mean, my parents are kind of like a neighborhood staple. Yeah. So it's a little.
Yeah. No, my mom is as well.
Yeah. You did. Yeah. My mom, you're fucking dead. Like, yeah. Not just like by me, like the neighborhood's going to fucking find you, you know?
Oh, yeah. My mom has been the same way for the community where she's at too.
Yeah.
People actually call her like a real staple of the community because literally, look, this Korean American immigrant has been there for fucking 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. Like
I
mean a lot to them.
We've had that store for 30 plus years now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the idea, so my parents are going to retire soon too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But could you imagine coming to this country, working here your whole fucking life? And by the way, too, I think a lot of people don't know, if you own like one liquor store or you own one small business, you're really rich.
No,
like,
you're not.
You don't make a lot of money.
Welcome to middle class.
Yeah.
You know? Like lower middle class.
Lower middle class. Not like good standing middle. I'm talking about lower middle class, right?
Yeah.
And one of the stuff that obviously there's a whole history behind this that you have to dive into as to why there is like this disparity between, like, for example, like predominantly Black communities and Asian communities. And I've talked about this multiple times on the podcast, but my parents told me this story recently too, where this person's not a regular customer, because regular customers never do this to my parents. They're super sweet. 99% of the customers are great. 1% pieces of shit. So this guy happens to be in that 1%. And so he comes in, opens up a jar of grease, and then he starts putting it in his hair. Right? This happens a lot.
Yeah.
My dad's like, you can't do that. You have to pay for the product if you do that. Right? And he goes, what, you can't give me some grease? He goes, look at you guys over here just fucking opening stores in our neighborhood, and profiting. And my dad's like, I've been here for 30 years. It's like, we didn't just open the store. He goes, and then he goes, yeah, I bet you live like over here in like West Sacramento in a big home. And my dad's like, I live in South Sacramento.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm probably your neighbor.
Yeah.
And he goes, my dad said he got shocked, and he looked at him, he goes, well, do you live in this part?
Yeah.
So he's trying to one up like our poorness,
Yeah.
And then my dad said he was just laughing. It's like, you owe me an apology, like you're stealing from us.
Yeah. I can't stand that shit too when people try to they look at us like we're stealing from the community. It's just like,
it sucks though. I mean, it's because like history wise too, it just goes into the whole banking system, how, these marginalized Black communities weren't given loans.
That's 100% real too.
Yeah.
That shit is fucking real. We know it. And that's why we understand where we are with privilege.
Yeah.
Asian Americans or just Asians, when they got here, they were given opportunities.
Yeah.
They were given loans. They were told to diligently work and do all these things. And they give zero of that kind of opportunity to Black Americans. We know this.
I think the hard part is too, because, when I see these articles too, obviously it's like heartbreaking. And, for us too, because our parents are business owners, we can empathize with it, and it probably affects us a lot more closer to home than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Because it literally could be our parents. It could be,
Yeah.
God forbid. But, when we see these articles, and sometimes when I read the comments, I get fucking irritated because I feel like with the whole, when we talk about Asian identity, and I don't really talk about it too much because it's so complicated. And I feel like sometimes I'm beating like an old drum, but I don't think we ever get our own voice and identity when it comes to our own issues sometimes.
Yeah.
It's always like, who are you speaking for? Are you speaking for this side or that side?
Yeah.
And it's like, we kind of have our own problems too.
Yeah. I'm speaking for us. I'm
Yeah.
speaking for our sides. I'm speaking about our issues.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the sad things. Like, Stop Asian Hate is kind of getting swept under the rug. And then there was the other news of the girl in New York, the Korean girl.
Oh, I forgot her name. I think it was Christina Yunali or something.
Yeah.
Yunali or something.
Yeah.
Where she was, this is crazy. So this girl, if you guys don't know already, she was followed into her apartment. She had an apartment out in Chinatown, obviously not a great area, out in New York. I think it was around 4 a.m. Follows her into her apartment. It has one of those like slow closing doors, but either it didn't close all the way, but he was following her like a flight or a flight backwards. Door didn't close, enters the apartment, and he stabs her numerous amounts of times. People were saying she was stabbed 40 times. I couldn't find an article that said that, so I'm not gonna go ahead that. But she was screaming, like fighting for her life, and her neighbors could hear it. But New York, there's a lot of noise. People yell and fight, so you don't really know what it is. But apparently, I heard I was reading that she was still alive when the cops were contacted. So she was still fighting for her life while the cops were trying to break in, but they couldn't get in. And then he escaped, but she was stabbed to death, brutally murdered. And her like clothes were tattered too. So they think he was like trying to sexually assault her too.
Yeah.
And, we hear about these stories and they kind of just get swept under the rug. And the hard part about that is that when we talk about these things, some of the responses that we get is, we got bigger fish to fry. It's like, all right,
like we're not Americans.
Yeah.
We don't matter.
One of the hardest things too, I think that people are they're kind of struggling with is the idea that I think when a lot of these things happen to Asian Americans, the first thing people ask isn't like, I can't believe this happened, was that person mentally ill?
Yeah.
So there's already a built-in excuse for the person who's the murderer first versus feeling sympathy for the person that got murdered.
Yeah. It's like, because they're trying to figure out, why would someone do this?
And I understand that's reasonable, right? But I don't think that's the first thing you should fucking ask when somebody gets murdered.
Yeah.
Like you feel sympathy for the person that committed the crime over the victim first.
But even at this point, to have to even think that, why would someone do this? Like, I don't know. Have you been reading the fucking news? Why would someone do this? I don't know, man. You tell me.
Know. Yeah.
It's like as if like we haven't been screaming about it.
Yeah. And I understand too, it does make sense. Like I think the reason why two people are trying to figure that part out is also because they're trying to say, hey, let's not make this a race issue, right? Which I understand, but you have to understand how victims feel when they're scared and they feel like somebody that they love just got taken away from them. And the first thing you say is like, well, that was a crazy person. Not how is the family? This is a heinous crime.
Yeah.
That's what's addressed first.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucking backwards to me.
Yeah. Well, the way I've been like really seeing it too, it just feels like every single group of Americans, whether it's white, black, Latino, or Latinx, I guess, and Asian, all sorts, everybody feels forgotten.
Yeah, that's very true.
Everyone feels forgotten. White people feel forgotten too.
Yeah.
That's why they're...
You forgot that this is my country.
Don't you ever forget.
I'm kidding, but there are certain parts of this country that they do feel
the
that way.
South will rise again, brother. No, but fucking white people feel so forgotten. But then we're out here and we're screaming and we're saying we're being forgotten. And Black Americans, they're being forgotten. Like, we know this.
Yeah.
Native Americans. Yeah. Don't let me even literally forget bringing them up.
Yeah, the real white people.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, shit. Everyone is feeling less and less.
They're just everybody's scratching for a voice. And, like I even, a while back, I did this podcast where we kind of brought up the topic about the first time Nora or Awkwafina got flack for her roles in her films, where they're saying that she's portraying this blaccent, right? Yeah. And this is a very interesting topic. I think the first time, the way I approached it, I defended her vehemently, and I actually still defend her now, right? Yeah. But I do want to explain why a little bit better, because I think a lot of people, they understood what I was coming from, but not really all the way, right? When we look at people now, and you have to look at it as through the lens of what's current now, right? So her and her age, she is a millennial, right? Millennials and Gen Zs, we actually have a lot more similarities than dissimilarities. Yeah. A lot of millennials were raised by things like MTV. A lot of this stuff that was kind of fed to this generation, your generation and mine, were stuff that we saw glamorized on YouTube, the internet, TV, or whatever, right? My defense of her, or not even so much defense, just the rationale for people to kind of like something to chew on, is that she grew up in New York, right? And she's growing up around a culture because, number one, she was a rapper. And they're like, oh, she didn't grow up in like the heart of New York. She grew up in this uppity area. Yeah. But everybody knows too, if you're watching this right now and you're telling me that you didn't grow up in the vicinity of an area, you didn't pick up mannerisms, you're fucking lying to me. Yeah. You're 100, because look at me. I grew up in South Sacramento, California, right? But you hear the way that I speak, it's not completely South Sac. You'll hear flips of it here and there. The reason why is because, that's the neighborhood I grew up in, but my household wasn't like that. Yeah. So I'm like a mismatch of everything.
Yeah. The same with my weird accent. Like, born in LA in K-Town. Then I live in fucking Flint, Michigan. Then I live in Washington, then I live like in the fucking sticks of Washington, like sticks, where everyone has this drawl, and I lived there for a number of years. Not only that, we're also speaking Korean at home. That changes the way we speak English. That's why my accent is just my accent. I sound the way I do because I've just been all over the place.
Yeah. And a lot of people now are like a digital representation of that, right? Yeah. That's why you hear, dude, I was at Disneyland and I heard these 3 little white kids, they're just walking around and they said some really like gangster shit. And I'm like, where the fuck did they learn this phrase? They're like, hey, he's like, hey, remember, snitches get stitches. And I'm like, what the fuck? Where'd you learn that shit? But once again, they're watching shit on TV and they're watching things online,
TikTok
or whatever, right? So when people look at somebody, they say, well, because you're here, this is how you should speak. I don't really think that applies anymore. Yeah. Everybody's picking up everything else.
Dude, Rich Brian.
Oh yeah, look at him. His original name was Rich Chigga.
Yeah. And all these things, his old videos are pretty provocative.
Yeah. And this guy grew up in fucking Singapore or whatever, right?
Indonesia.
I'm sorry.
But listen to his English.
Yeah.
He learned it on the fucking internet.
Yeah.
He learned the internet English.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And look what it sounds like. Yeah. Black American.
Yeah.
Because youth culture and internet culture is follows what Black Americans are following, like youth Black culture.
Here's the thing too, like I also want people to realize too, you guys have to understand that Black people are the coolest people on earth. Yeah. Hands down. It doesn't, I don't give a fuck what you say.
Dude, how many fucking white people fucking sound like Black people on Twitter? When they talk and when they want to fucking period something.
It's like hip hop culture, right? And I think when we say like Black Americans, I'm talking about hip hop culture because Black culture created hip hop. You have to give them credit for that. So at the end of the day, when I look at this, it's like, this is how I didn't put it like this, but this is what a producer friend of mine said. He said that he always felt a little weird about how sometimes people would try to, number one, tell people that hood shit is Black shit. He doesn't like that association at all. Yeah. He goes, I want to keep those two things very fucking separate because I don't personally like that. And he also says that number 2, he always felt weird about like sometimes the music that he would create, and he would see like a white kid do shit and it gets popular off it. But he goes, at the same time, I'm the one who made those beats and I made it popular. Yeah. So but without those people, we're selling this product to them. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That was just his perspective on it.
Right.
The issue that we have here that I see a lot with the whole Awkwafina thing, or not just her, how everybody feels about this subject matter, is that within this group, there's a controversy, right? That you'll see. And I'm just kind of seeing it online where there's half people saying, hey, when she was in Crazy Rich Asian, no, I'm sorry, Ocean's whatever 15 or whatever, eight, whatever, Ocean's 8. She was the dealer and doing the cards. And like, she's not imitating black culture. I think that's offensive. She's imitating a hustler in New York. And whether you're black, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Asian, whatever, white, whatever, whatnot, if you grew up in the heart of the city, these are what the hustlers sound like, and that's what she's imitating. She's not having a blaccent per se.
You'll hear that at the chess tables in New York City too. Like, that's what they sound like.
So that's like half what people are defending, right? And the other people are saying, well, she's not even really from New York, so she is doing a blaccent.
Yeah. Before we continue this podcast, let's keep this podcast sponsored by supporting our sponsors. IPVanish, my friends. Did you know that browsing online using incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? Listen, I've talked about this multiple times. You need IPVanish. If you're browsing without protection, my friends, you are out of your mind. That's why I use IPVanish VPN to make it easy to stay truly private and secure on the internet. What are you looking up? I know everything. I shouldn't know everything. And all that dirty little stuff that you're doing, listen, none of my freaking business, you freak. That's why you specifically should get IPVanish. It's super easy to use. IPVanish is offering an incredible 70% off their yearly plan for our listeners with a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's just like getting 9 months for free. And you cheap motherfuckers, you know you love that word, free. So go to IPVanish.com/brain and use promotional code BRAIN and claim your 70% savings. That's IPVanish, as in IPVanish.com/brain.
With this topic, I think for me, it makes sense why people are offended. And let me explain why. Before people say like, no, it doesn't make sense at all. Just to kind of get your gears going on this. It makes sense to me why people are offended, but I don't think it's fair to pin it on her.
Yeah.
Right. It makes sense to me because it's the idea of this. So when we look at like Black America and, Black Americans, right? When they speak with a quote unquote hood accent, all right, or whatever, like hip hop culture is influenced big in their life, right?
Yeah.
And you hear somebody, a lot of the times when people see it, the darker your skin color is, they go, this person's uneducated. This person's not smart, right? But when they see somebody who is fair skinned, for example, like Nora, she does this, they go, wow, that's unique.
Or that's funny.
That's super cool. But how fucking unfair is it that when this person who has this skin color, when they do it, suddenly they're uneducated.
Yeah.
They're dumb. They're hood. So for people to saying it doesn't make sense at all, I think that's wrong. Take a second to think about that shit. That's fucking annoying. Yeah. So I understand why people are annoyed. And I think for me, when I did my last college show, I was just trying to explain it to some of these kids and they understood it too. I was like, if you don't understand that because you aren't Black American or African American, I'll put it to you like this. Remember when you were an Asian kid and you went to school and you brought your fucking noodles and rice and people are like, that's worms.
Yeah.
That's gross. Ew, it stinks. And then fast forward 10 years, you see a fair-skinned white chef throw soy sauce in his dish and they go, wow, look at this fusion.
Yeah.
This is some new age shit.
This is the Oriental flavor.
and he gets praised of being the chef that's creating innovative flavors.
For all the shit we got made fun of.
Exactly.
And got bullied for, straight bullied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's how I think I would feel about it if I was a Black American or African American. It's like, you've taken something from us that you made fun of us. You said that we were uneducated, stupid. And when somebody else does it, that doesn't look like us. And now it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes fucking annoying. So I think that emotion gets tied to her, but I don't think it's fair to do it to her. Number one, because of the generation that she grew up in. She's imitating a character of a New York hustler, not somebody of a certain skin color.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, she's also acting. She didn't write the script.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's my defense of it, right? But this whole thing in America, when it comes to like race, it's just such a touchy subject here.
Yeah.
Like
it seems like it has to be like so specific to the character, and you're pointing out the character that Nora was playing.
Yes.
Right. But then, have you seen that video of that white kid who grew up in Hong Kong?
No. Is he hella Asian?
He has a thick fucking Chinese accent.
How dare he appropriate our culture?
But look, man, like, make a movie about this kid.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta cast a white kid. And this white kid has to speak in this Chinese accent. Sometimes a character calls for it, guys. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be one of the kids in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And he just starts going off, starts saying this shit.
Dude, I mean, look, that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's so complicated.
It's because people want to be represented, right? But Nora's representing a type of person that is very unique in New York, that it fucking exists.
Yeah, it exists.
They exist.
Yeah, that's the part where it gets really tricky for me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just America, and race issues are always odd. Like, even the idea that certain parts of this country refuse to teach the Black history part of our history, right, in America, which even for me, like the idea of calling something Black history, hear me out, doesn't make much sense, because Black history is American history. You should teach it in all fucking schools. It's a huge part of this fucking country. The fact that you have an option to even take it out is so stupid.
Yeah. I mean, that CRT shit is like a whole nother bag of fucking, not bullshit, but like just chaos.
Yeah, the critical race theory, right?
Yeah, critical race theory. I mean, like, and you know, what we're talking about right now for the last however many minutes is critical race theory, pretty much. You know,
it just annoys me, the fact that Black history has to be something that has to be implemented, when really
it's just part of
it's history. It's a part of America's history, backbone, the culture. Everything that you see, like I literally just said it. Everything that Black people have made and touched has been turned into something cool. Yeah. They are the epitome of a culture that knows how to take their fucking lemons and make lemonade out of it. You look at something, even this, if you like fucking smoked barbecue, you love Black people.
Yep.
You know, taking these scraps, these tough pieces of meat that they were given and turning it into something tender and flavorful. Cuisine. Yeah. It's crazy to think that there's parts of this country that they don't want to teach this part of history, and yet at the same time they can reprimand, you know, countries like China, who wants to get rid of their parts of history because they don't want, and they, you know, they have their nose up at people at China when they're doing the same thing here. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, you could read it on the news, man. They're trying to literally just take out so much shit out of school books, and like there was a big thing last month about there was huge book burnings all across like different parts of America, because I guess some states made it legal to burn a book, you know, or they just like got rid of all these like controversial quote unquote books at public libraries.
Dude, just understand. I'm not trying to get on my social justice shit. I think these are just facts. Black history is American history.
It is.
And from somebody who didn't, you know, I'm Korean American. I was born in Korea. When I look at it like that, it's like, that just is what it is. There's no, how many times, and by the way, too, this is why it's also obnoxious to me. It's like, how many fucking times do I have to hear about fucking George Washington's stupid wooden teeth and his fucking apple?
Why is that ever relevant?
Do you realize, too, in elementary school, they bring that shit up like 3 times over?
Tell us the part when they told the slaves to build the White House.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that didn't happen, dude.
Yeah, and to build all the roads and build all the cities.
Dude, there's places in New Orleans that if you go right now, you could still see, I forgot what the title for it is exactly, but you could see the fingerprints of the slaves who built the brick houses there into the fucking bricks.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't want to teach it in history, which does not make sense to me. It's not to reprimand, you know, white Americans or anything like that, but it's a part of history that built this country that people should fucking know.
Yeah. Which it's like when you give Black people an opportunity, white people feel like it's being taken away from them. Right? Which I think is a good way to segue into what being a forgotten white American feels like.
PeaceMakers, baby.
Right. PeaceMaker.
How apropos.
Yes.
PeaceMakers. So, you know, Ed has been trying to get me to watch it, which I did, but I was moving and setting up this podcast. Finally had a time to go sit down and watch it. I watched one episode. I thought it was amazing. Sat down, watched the second, binge watched it all the way through in one day.
Yeah.
Because it was that fucking good.
Yeah.
PeaceMakers is so fucking good. Number one, already love James Gunn, right? Yeah. And we've talked about Guardians of the Galaxy being one of the best origin stories for any type of Marvel film ever. And once again, done by James Gunn. James Gunn, to me, in terms of his directing, by the way, too, the jokes in this series,
on point.
Let's just go into the first episode. Just that first scene between the janitor, the Indian janitor, and then fucking PeaceMaker made me die laughing.
Yeah.
And usually when I see these like really quick, just banter scenes, it seems a little corny and kind of put on.
Let's kill some time. It's like I fucking live for these moments in Peacemaker.
Yeah. Because number one, it already showed, even if you didn't watch the what do you call it? What movie was it?
Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad movie before, which would help if you watch the series. But you kind of already get to see his character in that first scene alone,
right there.
even if you didn't watch the movie. And the one line that cracked me up was when he was like, "You've been killing hella black people."
Yeah. Right, yeah.
And he goes, "What are you talking about? I just killed criminals." He goes, "Well, it's kind of weird that the statistics shows that you kill more black people than you do white people." He goes, "Well, fuck you then. I'll kill more white people then. Does that make you happy?" Yeah. He goes, "Yeah, it would." He goes, "Deal."
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's what's so genius is how James Gunn off the bat is with that. It took a serious statistic and made it into a joke, which is kind of crazy genius, right? But implemented it into Peacemaker's character of what he thinks he is as a superhero, right? Because only before it was on SNL, when Chance the Rapper was hosting, they did a Bruce Wayne skit, right? And so all the black SNL cast members are at this fundraiser, at this canned food drive at the Wayne Manor, right? And so they're kind of in line picking up their food, and Bruce Wayne's there to greet them. And they're kind of like, thank you, Bruce Wayne, right? And then they're like, but you know Batman, right? He's like, yes, I do. He's like, can you tell him to stop beating up black people? You got to see this skit. Because it's so fucking good. It's hilarious too. It kind of follows it, right? But then it's so hilarious that, James Gunn like made it into this character, like for you to really see and look, and not really make a joke out of it, but like build this guy's character, like where he comes from. If a guy was like that and had these arguments for why he did, like, how I've heard this argument a million times about like, that black on black crime statistics, bullshit like that, right? And they were touching on that, the fact that like he made the argument, like, I just go where crime goes. And then the Indian guys are like, yeah, it's just black people. Why don't you like keep an eye out for white people just as much as you do for black people?
Yeah.
You're right. So he makes a promise. Yeah, I'll kill more white people then.
Yeah. It's like, deal.
Yeah. Look how serious the matter of what they're talking about is, but how genius is it to make you fucking laugh at it because of who this guy is.
And it also goes to show how dope of a fucking actor John Cena is.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about John Cena for a second.
Amazing. He's so good, number one, as a serious actor, the way he emotes and how he fucking executes comedic lines.
Yes, that's funny too.
That's so fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
He is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Might like him a little more than The Rock.
I feel like...
Dude, I think he's better.
Yeah. The Rock as an actor wishes he was John Cena. But The Rock as an entrepreneur, he's on his own spaceship.
He's a phenom.
Yeah.
But when I look at their acting, and we've seen The Rock in a lot of different films, I'm not pitting these two against each other. I'm just telling you guys about
because they had similar upbringing where they came from, WWE and into Hollywood.
And he was the one who took the crown from The Rock after The Rock left that void of superstardom. I think John Cena was the next one up, but John Cena's acting is on another level.
Yes, he's a much better actor.
It's so fucking good. Like Peacemaker 2 is such a complicated character. A lot more complicated than I kind of expected watching the series.
Yeah.
Because he seems... So if you guys haven't watched it, obviously, spoiler alert, but if you guys...
it's all spoilers. Every time we talk about something, it's all spoilers.
Because number one, he's such a detraction from what he thinks he's supposed to be, a detraction from who his father is.
Yeah.
His father, you know how you have like a KKK Grand Wizard?
Yeah.
He's 10 steps above that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's high. He is the Grand Master. So he is the Red Dragon.
Yeah.
Right. Which is...
what's the backstory behind the Red Dragon and all this tech that he has?
The comic book itself, where it is like part of a storyline where he is a white supremacist villain. Like DC told stories like that because DC's characters, like they're all in these crazy looking suits all the time. All of them are like these really colorful suits. Marvel went towards a route where it was still our universe physics and science based, right? So like everyone has a propulsion system one way or another if they fly, right? But in DC, it's just beyond fixes all. These people are gods kind of things, right? And for DC though, in order to make them have more relative stories was that they dug deep into who they were, especially in the 80s.
Yeah.
Is when we saw a really dark Batman too. That's where the Dark Knight comes from. The Dark Knight Returns. Frank Miller wrote those series. And so DC's and the Watchmen came out 85, sometime in the 80s too.
My lovely brain farts, this podcast is brought to you by Raycon. You know I've talked about Raycon. I've talked about wireless earbuds that are affordable, that sound dope. They're super light and compact, and that's my Raycon earbuds. I do not play. Raycon earbuds is my shit. Wireless earbuds are the best way to bring audio with you because no matter how much you shake things up, literally no matter how much you shake, they won't fall out your ears. I'm talking about, I go on my bike about 100 miles per hour. I'm not talking about a motorcycle. I'm talking about a bicycle, my friends. When you're really large and you go down a hill, let me tell you something. Gravity's a bitch. And guess what? My Raycon earbuds don't fly out my fat, chubby ears. Raycon offers 8 hours of playtime on a 32-hour battery life, and they're priced just right. You get quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands right now. My Genius Brain listeners, you can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/brain. That's buyraycon.com/brain to get 15% on Raycons. That's buyraycon.com/brain.
Yeah, this character Red Dragon over the years evolved a lot. Like he is a white supremacist. Like his alter ego is like this personality. I forget if he's a politician or a TV personality or some shit, but he spews these fucking racist ideologies, like these supremacists, but they're like underlying ideologies to the public, right? And so clearly he's like, this shit ain't any good. So that's a lot of where his character's background does come from. But the technology and all of that stuff, I think they made it just for the show.
Oh, okay. Because I was so confused. It was like, why does he have all this shit? I don't understand this.
I think it's one of those, I guess, superhero tropes like 007 has Q or whatever too. But like, Bruce Wayne having Lucius Fox or whatever. I think they just served it into the story that his father is responsible for all of PeaceMaker's suits, his equipment, his training. Right. I mean, and that was explained in like just a few lines in Suicide Squad when he was in prison, right? Amanda Waller was like, his father trained him to fucking kill, murder, and do all this shit. But then what the show is also revealing, though, is that, especially in that opening dialogue between the janitor and he, was that everyone believes that he's a racist. Everyone thinks he's a supervillain. Everyone thinks, he's just like a fucking murderous bad guy. But
he's oblivious.
He really in his head believes that he's a superhero, that he's always doing the right thing in the name of peace, right? I think it's
how fucking odd this villain. His name is PeaceMaker.
Yeah. His father has that cloud over his head too, because everybody knows who his father is. Mm-hmm. It's like, of course, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Right. And that speaks into a lot of white Americans these days, like our age, the 30s, 20s, even the Gen X white guys, I mean, they were tired of just being called racist just because their fathers, they know their fathers are, right? We know white boomers, like, come on, man, you know, it's very hard to find, they're just, how they are.
It was taught to them.
Yeah, that's how they were. They like lived through the civil rights movement and all that shit. And a lot of them were against it. Yeah. And they're alive today. That's what we know about boomers. But a lot of Gen X, especially, like they weren't like that. They were just raised by them. And that's who PeaceMaker is. And generally online, you see some 30, 40, 50-year-old white guy, you assume he's a racist.
Yeah.
Just cause.
Yeah.
I mean, these are things I had to go through too, through my therapy, because of all the shit I've told a million times about the shit I went through at the store. Like I had started getting this generalization of white people. So I went to therapy because I was recognizing that I was being a fucking racist. Yeah. So I was just so amazed how James Gunn touched this topic. Like, because I was saying earlier, even white Americans feel forgotten right? And he dove into that story of a forgotten white American. He was told he was going to be great. White Americans too, they're told that they're owed the world, and they're given everything. But look at him. He's living in a fucking trailer. His best friend is a fucking eagle. His other best friend is autistic.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying they're not, he specifically says that he's around people that don't communicate normally well at all, because he eventually hangs out with a fucking butterfly.
Yeah.
Because regular, neurotypical people and all that stuff, just general society hates him, So that's why they're not his best friends. These people who are just out of humanity type of people are his closest people, because he doesn't have to talk about all the reasons why they hate him,
It's interesting because there's a part of the film where it seems like a film, but the series where you get to see the origin of how toxic his relationship is with his father, right?
Yeah.
And the onset of his trauma is actually the death of his brother.
Yeah.
Where his brother, he and his brother were forced to fight each other.
Yeah.
Right.
For his dad's little UFC backyard club.
Exactly. And then he decks his brother, and his brother has a seizure and he chokes and he dies. Right. But his father looks at PeaceMaker and says that, you fucking idiot, you killed your brother. This is your fault.
Done. Yeah.
Right. Even though clearly it's not his fault.
Yeah.
It's his piece of shit dad's fault.
Yeah.
Right. And his dad also too has his own delusions. His dad is just as delusional as he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't see that. He literally blames his son for the death of his other son, even though it's his fault.
You used your kids as a fucking cockfighting ring.
Yeah.
Basically.
What in
little
the fuck?
Boys that they weren't even teenagers at that point. You know? He's very clearly a fucking terrible bad guy. So played by Robert Patrick, right? T-1000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
great
crazy.
Casting.
Yeah. Wow, you look way different.
Yeah. This role really revives his career for sure.
He was so fucking good at playing a piece of shit asshole.
Oh my God. So the first episode, PeaceMaker gets out of the hospital and, because in the Suicide Squad, he was in prison. After whatever operation they did, he's supposed to go back to prison, but he just goes home.
Yeah.
Right. And then so he goes to see his dad, and we get to know his dad, and he's a fucking homophobe.
Yeah.
He's a racist. He's a misogynist. He is everything just piece of shit boomer. And so that's who PeaceMaker was raised by, right? And then he calls him the F word a lot. Yeah. He disparages the fucking Asian detective.
Dude,
their banter was
the racist Asian jokes, he called her chopsticks. Dude, that shit was making me laugh so hard because it was the oldest racist Asian jokes you could ever think of, dude.
Yeah. They were too easy for him, right? And it's obviously so because he's such an old guy. I think it just served more than he's just this old piece of shit.
Also, too, one of the things that I really fucking loved was the Asian actress. I wish I remembered her name right now. Apologies, I don't remember your name, but she was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And then she also had her detective partner, who he essentially was playing the same person that he was in White Chicks.
Yeah. He was also the baby dick guy in Scary Movie.
Yeah. That fool was cracking me up because I was like, dude, this fool James Gunn saw him in White Chicks and he was like, you're just going to play the same detective in White Chicks here.
I need you.
Yeah. He just got to play the same character.
Yeah.
Fool's cracking me the fuck up.
So we know his father's a piece of shit. And so it's expressed by his neighbor. The next door neighbor gives him shit and thinks he's a supervillain too, just like his dad. Mm-hmm. His dad is a retired supervillain.
Yeah.
Oh God.
When they somebody who I really, really fucking liked in the show too was who turned out to be his best friend. I forgot her name right now. She was
Harcourt.
Adebayo. There you go. She was so fucking good.
She was good.
Oh my gosh, she was so good in this show.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because her placement in the new Suicide Squad anyways was she was a spy.
Yeah.
For her mom.
Yeah. Double agent.
Yeah, she was a double agent the whole fucking time. But even that too is hilarious too, because she's supposed to be this secretive double agent spy, and I think she worked at a Bed Bath and Beyond before or some shit.
She's just like, she's so human.
Yeah,
you know. But then this is just what she does, because there's that running theme of who her mom is. Like, yeah, the first Suicide Squad movie was a piece of shit, but then you really get to know Amanda Waller. Viola Davis in the Suicide Squad was really good, and then the next Suicide Squad. It's so hard. There's Suicide Squad and then the Suicide Squad, which is the second one. She was also like showing her fucking ruthlessness in that. Then when we see Peacemaker, we're seeing, oh, this is the offspring of Amanda Waller. And so as viewers, we know who Amanda Waller is and how fucking evil she is. But then we're getting to see the other side of the coin of Peacemaker and his shitty dad with Arballo and her shitty mom, you know. And it's like two polarizing different type of people who become fucking best friends.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the other sides of two worlds.
Yeah.
Right. And who can write that better than James Gunn, man?
And by the way, this is a guy too who was purported as a fucking racist.
Yes.
Right. And his best friend at the end of the day throughout this whole series becomes this young black woman.
Yeah.
That's his best friend, which is kind of like his redemption.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It's so good.
It's so good. I mean, the way we see his character build and grow and such, right? Like, I said in the last podcast when we were going to catch up on this, Harcourt, the blonde lady. Is that her name?
I can't remember. I watched it so fast.
Yeah. She represents the rest of all of us as well. It's the way we see, you know, Peacemaker. Like, ugh,
like
you fucking gross. You're gross. You're misogynist.
I mean,
I don't want anything to do with you.
I mean, he's definitely a little slow and a little gross too, though.
Yeah,
especially like in the bar scene where he's just trying to fuck her.
Yeah,
she's like, dude, just give me a fucking break. I just want to be alone.
Yeah, but then I mean, like, but that's the thing. He's just so like, yeah, this is what I want.
Yeah,
well, it's a matter of fact, right? But then we also see that there is his intentionality in so many things, because that's his intention, right? His intention is to fuck her. So he's trying to play his game.
Yeah.
But then when they're at the restaurant earlier and he orders something and he calls the waitress sweet cheeks. Yeah. Right? He's like, what? What do you mean? I'm talking about her cheeks on her face. That's so gross. I'm not talking about her butt. Yeah. So it's like there's this weird innocence to him, right? Because of his fucking ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, like his ignorance doesn't lead to just his racism.
That line made me laugh so hard,
yeah.
dude. When he was talking about her face, it's like, talking about her fucking face. What are you talking about? Yeah. I was like, what a stupid fucking line.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what's so great about this show and James Gunn. Like these small little quibbles and the fucking banter that they have is just so fucking great. That they have, but like each one of them serve a purpose for who they are and why they think this way.
And did you also notice too that the waitress, she interpreted the way that he said it.
Yeah, she had no problem with it. And the whole table's like, ew, that's so gross. Yeah. He's like, you're gross. Oh my God. We're only talking about the first episode so far right now, you know?
For real though. I mean, okay, there's so much to talk about this. What happened in the second episode?
I can't.
It all comes together like a film at this point.
Yeah, because there's 8 episodes. And they're 40 minutes each. Yeah. So we're looking at 5-6 hours. Yeah. Hours of content.
Another good part of the film was it kind of always goes back. If you guys have been listening to these reviews, one of the biggest things that makes me enjoy a film is character consistency.
Yes.
Right? There isn't a random reason to why things just happen. You could see these little glimpses of either their humanism or their dehumanism, like in their character, to make us feel a certain way about them. So, you know, we're talking right now about Peacemaker being a very conflicting character. The assassination scene where he's supposed to kill that little kid.
Yeah. But they are so there's these aliens. They're like these butterflies. And they take over human brains and control them, right? And they get intel that the governor of Washington State. So wait. Let's leave, like go on a tangent for a little bit. It's set where my store is.
In Washington.
In Washington. Dude, PeaceMaker could have been my fucking customer.
Yeah.
That's why I love this show, because through my therapy, like it helped me resolve like my resentment for that area out there. And this show really opened up the humanity of
You know who
people
PeaceMaker
there.
is though, right? PeaceMaker is the fucking employee that you had that got shot and he came to work. He's PeaceMaker.
He's Jimbo.
Like the fucking heart of gold.
Yeah, that's what he is. Yeah.
Better help. It's all about that mental health. Listen, I have used BetterHelp for a very long time. You guys already know this. And, there's a reason why there's still a constant sponsor on this podcast is that if you've heard this ad before and you haven't tried it yet, just give it a go, man. BetterHelp Online Therapy offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. And by the way, it's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you could be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. I'm telling you, if you focus on your physical health, you should focus on your mental health too. It's just as important. As a matter of fact, maybe even more important than your physical health, because if you're not healthy up here, you're not going to be healthy anywhere else. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Genius Brain listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/genius. That's BetterHelp.com/genius.
He's just ignorant to whatever else is out there.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter. It's just through his thoughts, his ideology, his beliefs, and that's the world around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But when he's exposed to the rest of the team who come from all over the corners of America, they judge him super hard.
When I was watching the film too, and I saw his interactions with his dad, you see PeaceMaker and his dad. So I was like, that's you and your dad, bro. It's literally you and your dad.
Yes. So that's the last thing that I mentioned in the last time we talked about PeaceMaker was that PeaceMaker is a better Shang-Chi, right? And yes, we fucking bring up Shang-Chi all the time and we shit on it, like whatever. I had a problem with the Shang-Chi father-son relationship because, I've mentioned in the past, my dad was a gangster in K-Town. He was part of a gang called KK. He wasn't a general good person, let's say, right? So I know what it's like to live under that kind of person. But when I saw Shang-Chi, I wish Wenwu was my dad. That kind of love, like for him to teach, like the kind of lessons he taught and whatever. Like he wasn't a bad father because he was strict.
Yeah, for no reason.
For no reason, right? But then what we talked about was the problems that Shang-Chi had was that it didn't show exposition. It just told us, right? And this was the scene where he's crying in front of the lake or whatever, where he says that his father sent him on a mission to kill the gang leader of whoever killed his mom. And he did go and kill them. But he told it in a story. We needed to see that happen, just know like what created this Shang-Chi and this hurt and this regret and all these things.
Yeah, because especially then when you kind of just tell it in words, in my mind, I was thinking, no shit. Motherfucker killed your mom, bro.
Right. And like it didn't show us a badass assassin. It showed us a good guy in hiding who didn't want to be an assassin, but like why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that's something we didn't see. Right.
Because also, too, the reason why that doesn't make sense is the fact that at this point, getting vengeance for somebody killing your mother over these people who are essentially villains that makes him the good guy. So you guys have to understand like why I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like it didn't make sense.
And that's like the plot point to a lot of other superhero stories. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like I don't understand how that was missed. You know what I mean? It was just a little, but when you see when you wrap it back to PeaceMaker, you see what a piece of shit that is.
Yeah. So, and we see in a flashback how he was in a cockfight with his brother because his dad organized these fucking fights between their adolescent children, pretty much. And he accidentally kills his brother because he hits him and his brother goes into a seizure and dies. And his father blames him for that as well, right? And then later on, we see how his father starts raising him, where he hands him a knife. So in Shang-Chi, when we hand Shang-Chi a knife, like it's not like a specific knife, it's like a spear end or whatever, right? And that's why as soon as I saw the scene, I was like, holy shit, they're fucking doing it. Though, like when he hands him the knife, we see a guy tied up in a fucking chair begging for his life. And his father is calling him like all these derogatory names, like a pussy, like to fucking kill this guy. And he, as a child, stabs this guy to death, right? And then we see PeaceMaker praying to God, like, please, like take this away from me, all this shit. Like, I'll do whatever, I'll do anything for peace. And this is where he, more or less, like, where he is mirrored with his best friend Vigilante, where they are stone cold killers, murderers. He has an argument with his neighbor about Batman.
Dude, that shit was so funny.
Like the banter, like once again, this like so much gold in every single one of their rants. Like when he talks about Batman, he calls him fucking pussy.
A pussy.
Yeah. Because he doesn't have the guts to kill the Joker. He doesn't have to kill the guts to kill anybody. He just throws him back in jail and they just fucking get out. And then they wreak havoc again.
Yeah.
He should just fucking kill them. Right?
I think the funny thing is like, dude, I'm just having a conversation.
Yeah.
You're just fucking with them the whole time, you know? So it's your problem, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hilarious to me that this is an official DC Warner Brothers project. And they talk so much shit about the Justice League.
Yeah.
Like, that's another hilarious thing about his character is that he knows, he tells all these rumors about every single Justice League member, right? And he's like, what? I heard it on Facebook. Oh, yeah. What? You mean some random guy on the internet would just lie to me?
Yeah.
And it's like...
It's like Aquaman. He fucks fishes. He fucks fish.
Yeah, and that's the ongoing joke, right? So fucking hilarious. Like, and it's like they're Deadpool, I think. That because since this is their rated R property, they're just going to go there.
Yeah, but it's Deadpool without the fucking over jokes and the constant breaking of the...
Yeah.
God, fuck, man. Like Deadpool 1 was like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
And Deadpool 2, he went 2 times the jokes. I was like, 1 was borderline a little too much, but it was so funny. 2, why would you double that?
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was ridiculous.
It killed all the scenes with that he had in this dream state with his fiance.
You know, I heard, I think, was it Tim Miller? He was the one who did Deadpool 1, I believe.
Yeah, the first one.
So he was off of Deadpool 2.
Yes.
And I think he butted heads with Ryan Reynolds.
Of course.
About the joke stuff. He wanted to go, I think there was a little bit of an argument between kind of where he wanted to put the story in. And it was less jokey Deadpool.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan Reynolds didn't like that.
Yeah.
And they butted heads. So Tim Miller, who are they going to choose? Tim Miller or Ryan Reynolds? Adios.
Yeah,
you know?
It was an easy choice.
Yeah.
I mean, like typically like that, I get it though. Like to make a less jokey Deadpool, like if
wouldn't
it was
make
equal,
sense.
It wouldn't make sense either. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like having a less dark, gritty Batman.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, wait, that's not Batman.
Exactly. Yeah. They introduced that one kid, the one little Asian kid, Judo.
Yeah, Judo Master.
Judo Master. Well, he's fucking up everybody, dude.
Yeah. So I fucking looked up this guy. I'm sorry, I can't even remember his name.
He's a Vietnamese kid, I believe.
Yeah. He's not as short as he is on the show. It really looks like they use CGI to shrink him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's not that small in real life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be eating Cheetos.
Yeah. He's flaming hot Cheetos and he talks mad shit.
Yep. That shit was so good. Every character was so fucking dope.
Yeah,
dude.
it was so good.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking about, so, you know, I didn't understand. I was getting frustrated because he couldn't kill this family that they found out were butterflies.
Yes.
I was getting frustrated at first, but once again, there's a reason why, especially when it came to that kid. He fucking killed his brother, dude.
Yeah.
So that's why he was having this crazy flashback or whatever. And I think like at this point too, they were even showing it early on was him kind of realizing that, yo, maybe I am a supervillain because he keeps killing people.
Yeah.
You know, and just from these conversations of him starting to realize what he's doing and people's perception of him.
Right.
And you see that when he goes into the trailer, which was a really cool humanizing moment where he was
just crying. Right. Oh, so leading up to the end of the first episode, he kills the first lady he fucks.
Oh yeah, the butterfly.
Yeah, she ended up being a butterfly, and then he uses the helmet his dad gave him. Some sonic boom thing, and he just obliterates. By the way, this whole show was very gory as well, but it was pretty badass. The fight scenes too, done very well. So I'm so sorry. What are we talking about right now?
We were talking about first I started with his brother, why he couldn't kill his brother. And the reason why is because he had, he couldn't kill the kid because of his brother.
Right.
Right. And then I talked about the butterflies, and then we mentioned the fucking, what's it called?
Oh shit.
What were we talking about?
Oh man, I was trying to lead up into what happens when he goes into the trailer. He starts crying.
Crying in the trailer.
He starts crying in the trailer, right? So after all that shit happens, he has like a really shitty escape, where he gets out of the situation, but everyone gives him shit for it. And then when he goes back to his trailer, he starts crying. But then what is he saying as he's crying?
Everybody hates me.
Everybody hates me. You're such a fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
And he starts disparaging himself like, it's true, you're a fucking idiot. You don't know anything. Because outside of that exterior of being a hard ass like jock who fucking makes fun of everybody, he pushes people away like intentionally for some reason he can't understand at that moment, and he's just bawling his eyes out. And that's when we meet Vigilante coming in. He's like, what are you doing? What's going on? Right. And his character too, Vigilante.
Great. He's highly on the spectrum.
He's so on the spectrum.
He can't even process emotions.
Yeah. His emotional thing, like, I mean, it's used for comedy too, but it's done very well because we have friends that are kind of like him. They're not too as that kind of extreme, but then like, I think he touched it so well into this character who is just like not on our thinking plane.
Yeah. Dude, the scene that cracked me up so fucking hard was when PeaceMaker was supposed to get tortured, but they just kept torturing Vigilante.
Yeah. And then the alien butterfly, it's like, we know that humans feel empathy towards another, so you can't stand to see your friend get tortured.
He'll fucking do it.
Yeah, he's like, do it. I don't care.
Yeah. So he almost cuts off his toe. And then, it goes back to them in the car, and he was like, thank you for this fucking experience. It's like, I almost lost my toe. He's like, you're being sarcastic. Yeah. It's like, you're mad at me. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But clearly he is.
Yeah. The banter is so amazing. I mean, the little like through lines, like it's never feels like it's wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. A lot of shows sometimes, because, oh my God, we have 10 episodes to fill, like put in like fucking filler shit. Like, you know how Dragon Ball Z was growing up, like between them waiting for the manga to finish, they had to animate all this bullshit stories.
Yeah.
That's not canon
episodes.
Right. And even like it, so you get a contract for this many episodes, and then, oh my God, so you have to fill in all those scripts. And sometimes like you have a montage to kill time for bullshit or whatever. But like this show is so fucking solid all the way around, where every scene and every line like serves a purpose towards learning who their character is or progressing the plot, or even if it's for the sake of comedy and it's totally irrelevant, it hits. It fucking hits. It's funny.
Fucking hard, man.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying it's the best show on TV so far.
Yeah.
Like this year. Yeah.
I binge watched it so fast. And there are certain things that I do binge watch, and I feel like there are a couple episodes I just go through just to get over it so I can get to the meat of the story.
Yeah.
It ended so well. It started well, and the meat of it was really, really fucking good. And like, they even go into the more, you'll see what the butterflies are for. It talks about fucking environmentalism.
Yes. Yes.
And
then so once again, I mean, I like where all these superhero stories are going so far, because a lot of people thought that there was superhero fatigue. And so there'll be a lot less superhero, like, okay, it's going to crash or whatever. Like just like the way we saw Westerns, they used to be huge and nobody watches them. So, but superhero movies still find a way to reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And like this extends like really well into looking into new ways of how to look into the mind of a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, really well.
And you know, when they so basically with these butterflies, they're an alien form that came to this earth because you know, there's a lot of abundance on it, and they were living very quietly at first, but their planet got destroyed because of them kind of ignoring these tell signs of like pollution and what they're doing to their environment through like technological advances or whatever, which is essentially what humans are doing here.
Yeah.
And so now there's this moral choice. It's like, so now they've decided to take over for Earth for the sake of mankind and take over everybody on Earth.
Right.
So they don't destroy Earth, which is their last place to be because they've already fucked up their Earth.
Right.
Which is fucking dope. I was like,
yeah.
And it kind of goes into this idea, and you guys will find out that one of the head person in the Suicide Squad team that put them all together, he turns out actually to be a butterfly.
Yeah.
But he's not looking to take over Earth. He is against his own kind because he doesn't believe that saving Earth from themselves by taking them over, by taking away their free will, is saving them at all.
Yeah.
He thinks that it's morally corrupt and it's wrong.
Right.
Which is a really complex topic.
Right. And it gets even more complex with Myrn. His name is Myrn, right? Because I think PeaceMaker calls him out, right, on that shit. It's like, wait, but you took over somebody's body, or it might have been Autobio. You know, you took over someone's body. Now, who are you to say like why you want to stop all this shit? Like you just, you know, but then he was explained like, I had no choice. Like this is the only way I could stop these people, right? He took over a bad person, he says. He took over the mind of a killer, a murderer, you know, someone who didn't like feel human. He was a complete sociopath, right? And yes, he had to go against his own ideology to complete his end goal in the end. But he suffers from it because he still remembers, he sees all the memories in the past of what this person did. And that's how he pays for it, right? And it's like, wow, like it was funny for a second. And then now it's like so deep and complex about a character like, what do you call it? Like a convolution that they're going through. This dichotomy that they have to live with.
That's something that I also appreciated too, is that a lot of the characters were developed just enough.
Yeah. Everyone had a reason.
Even the nerd tech guy.
Yeah.
They gave him a little something too. He wasn't just the nerd tech guy.
Diebeard, right?
Yeah. He was the reason why he is the way he is, and the reason why PeaceMaker was actually fucking ripping into him.
Yeah.
You know, about stuff that it was his insecurities was even revealed in there too.
Yeah.
So that's why when he has like these victorious moments, it's him proving to himself that he's not a fucking loser.
Yeah.
You know, like the chainsaw scene.
This show gets wild, dude. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like we're not even talking about like the other things that make the show great. We're going like deep into like character study. Outside of that, you know, like how we talked about like the Matrix, like we don't give a shit about the fight scenes or whatever. Like even in the Batman, the newest one, we're like, all right, fight scenes, all right. But we mainly talk about what's happening in the story. The wild fight scenes and the shit that happens in this movie in between all the great dialogue and character study is still like top notch.
Yeah.
You know, so like the butterflies, like it's kind of hinted, like foreshadowing that a gorilla has gone missing.
Yeah.
It turns out that the butterflies took over a fucking gorilla body.
Yeah.
And they have to fight a fucking gorilla.
That shit's so fucking funny, dude.
Yeah. The chaotic moments somehow just like hits me too. It's fucking hilarious.
You get to see too the extent of how much of a piece of shit his dad is when not even so much a piece of shit, but his power in terms of how he represents like the forgotten white people when he goes to jail.
Yeah.
Like he
starts getting worshipped.
He gets worshipped in there. He is the representation of white oppression.
Yeah. Yeah. So these people in prison, as soon as he comes in, like they get down on their knees and they do the fucking salute and shit, right? And then they say "Hail Dragon" or some shit like that, right? And then that's the foreboding thing. We're like, oh shit, this guy is somebody. He's not just his piece of shit dad, like racist dad. Like, yeah, he's like, ooh, like this foreboding evil coming. And I think he paints it so fucking well.
I think the one thing that reminded like PeaceMaker too, that makes him a really complex character, that kind of reminded me of you, was no matter how shitty his dad was, he was still like pining for his dad's affection.
Yes. Oh God, that was my unicorn.
Yeah.
Thinking that I can get this ideological, perfect fatherly love from him if I love him back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like this dream I would constantly chase that just wasn't going to come.
Yeah. And that's the thing too that I didn't like about Shang-Chi.
Yeah, like because Wenwu was such a great dad to me. Like,
but in other people's eyes, when they see this film, right, the only thing that they're thinking about is that one just beaten dead horse of a topic of, Asian dad expects perfection from kid. That doesn't mean that he doesn't love his child.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that at all. Like your parents also too expected a certain amount of what is called, quote unquote, perfection out of you. But do you not love your dad? Do you look at your parents like they're a piece of shit?
Yeah.
Because you'll see this part too. And I really liked how you brought it back to Shang-Chi because of this one part. He kills his father in this.
Yeah.
He bawls
Yeah.
his fucking eyes out, laments.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, his dad came to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
His dad even put him to that point, called him a pussy. You won't do it. You won't fucking kill me.
And he kills him.
Fucking Luger.
Bawls his eyes out.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi watches his dad get absorbed. And he goes, okay.
Yeah.
And he just goes away.
What the fuck? Your dad just died and then he just like see ya on this magic dragon.
And how is he a good person? He's not. He's supposed to be the hero of that film.
Yeah.
When you see this guy who is constantly pining for his father's affection, despite the fact that he's a piece of shit, which honestly too is way more realistic.
Yeah.
Because you see that all the time. I see it with friends of mine who have had such terrible parents growing up and they had to go through extensive therapy to figure this out. It's like, why the fuck is that? It's because he's still my dad.
Yes.
And I still want my dad's love and affection.
Yeah.
That is the human experience.
Right.
That makes more sense.
And that's the conundrum with the lost generation of white Americans that it's showing that these white men, like the rest of the world sees them as shitty, especially on Twitter, but then who do they go to for advice? Their shittier fucking fathers.
Yeah.
But these people are trying to be good people. How many times do you see these Second Amendment dudes saying, we're the good guys?
Yeah.
We're the good guys. That's fucking PeaceMaker.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? This show opens up people like Adebayo to look at white Americans like him and be like, give them a fucking chance.
Yeah.
I think that's what's so amazing. And that's what's so therapeutic to me when I see this show, because of all the shit I had going on at my store. Like I said, PeaceMaker is a customer at my store.
Mm-hmm.
It really touched a place where like it shows a way, it shows a path, it shows redemption, through a tumultuous relationship that they have through their plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even at that point too, where he feels absolutely betrayed by her, they still find their way back to becoming friends.
Yeah.
Right.
And trusting each other.
And trusting each other too.
Yeah.
That shit was tight though when she fucking started running in and started fucking people up. I was like, finally she gets to look a little cool.
But she puts on the fucking torpedo helmet. Dude, I was like, that visually alone
was so funny. Oh my God. The funny thing too is like the moment she put it on, I'm like, this is a bad idea because he already warned her.
Yeah.
Right? Like this one's a dumb helmet, And it
was so good though.
Yeah. Oh, that shit was so fucking funny too. Oh man, there's another scene that cracked me the fuck up is because throughout the whole film, they made it seem like Eagly and PeaceMaker could talk to each other. They had this special communication.
Nice.
He's still a fucking animal.
Yeah.
Because they had a special mission for him where he had to grab this helmet and then bring it all the way over
to the barn,
which is where this thing is this mother butterfly that basically is their source for their food and energy.
Yeah.
And then once that's destroyed, they'll kill them. And, basically
the cow.
The cow.
Yeah.
And they, it kind of the whole film, the whole series makes you feel like Eagly is hyper intelligent and understands everything Peacemaker says.
Yeah. He's like some kind of Scooby-Doo shit or something.
No, but this one takes the helmet and just drops it off in the middle of a forest.
I mean, because they built it up because like Eagly hugs Peacemaker, right? And it's so the first time his dad sees it and he thinks it's like gay or something, he walks away. And then the other time it's like, oh my God, it's a miracle. It inspires Adebayo to continue the mission with the team, like a sign from God. Yeah. And then Eagly goes and just does some eagle bullshit. And it's like, it totally dies in the water.
Dude, that was a genius line too, because it was Adebayo and the other agent, the blonde one.
I think Hardcore,
right? So she's just like, yeah, man, I saw that the symbol when Eagly hugged him as a symbol. That she continues. She goes, why didn't you think it was a symbol for you to just go the other way? She's like, fuck.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, that's why I love this show. It's just like, because it's like, what? Why would you think? It's so hilarious how it questions itself. Yeah. But it doesn't so intelligently.
So at the end, there's like this point where he has to now make a choice. So he gets to see what this whole reason is about, which what I explained was what the butterfly mission is. Right. And this is the whole ending chapter of his growth as a human being. Yeah. Because before he was kind of see everything in black and white. There wasn't really a moral dilemma when he would make his choices, right? Especially with the way that he would talk to people. Everything was just a matter of fact. Yeah. He's just like, what's up, sweet cheeks? She has sweet cheeks. That's what it is.
Can't you see him chill?
Yeah. But now he has this thing as a character where he actually thinks about his choices. Yeah. Right. And he actually decides to kill the mother cow. Yeah. In the most disgusting way possible.
The most disgusting way. That's just James Gunn. I mean, did you see the Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Okay, you're right. And I mean, and they had a big kaiju at the end too, right? I was so grossed out by that shit. You know me and like marine life, you know? Like that shit grossed me the fuck out. And he's really good at grossing people out. But this cow didn't gross me out that bad. My roommate was fucking dying. Like he couldn't handle looking at that cow. It was so gross and disgusting to him. But yeah, I mean, so he activates human torpedo. Adebayo's wearing that helmet.
She fucking flies in.
And Bison's right into the cow and like falls right through him and all the guts of the cow come. It's so disgusting. And that kills the butterfly's food source and life source. So from there, they'll only live for the next 100 years now for whatever they have left. Yeah. Right. And then when they get to the hospital to get Hardcore into the ER, but before they do, they're walking out and the fucking Justice League appears. Did you see that coming?
Oh, I didn't see that coming at all. Even that shit was hilarious. One simple line. You guys are fucking late.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you go fuck a fish? Yeah. And then the light, like first they're just a silhouette. And then the light comes on and it's fucking Jason Momoa.
It's actually him.
Yeah, it's actually him. And he's like, I hate that rumor. But, so it completes the full circle of this constant rumors that fucking Peacemaker keeps making about like all these superheroes. And then the camera pans and it's fucking Ezra Miller, the actual Flash too. I mean, like you can see they couldn't get Gal Gadot or like Henry Cavill or some shit, but still, like they fucking got them, and now it's canon. Yeah, like it's canon. Like Aquaman fucking fish rumor, right?
It's so dope, dude. Just everything wraps up so fucking nicely, man. Yeah, it was interesting. You know, one thing I didn't understand was, so there's what was the butterfly called? The leader. The one that was in the jar. Goff. So Goff is at the end, you see Goff with Peacemaker. Right? Yeah. And he still has some of the goop left from the mother. And he just gives it and they're kind of just chilling with each other. Yeah. Well, I guess like at that point, Goff doesn't have a mission because he's going to die. So it's now it's like, all right, this is who we are.
Like he's the last of his species. He's the last of his kind. Yeah. And as he accepts it, he's just going to, because even before the whole scene at the end in the base, the cow base, she tells PeaceMaker the entire plan that these butterflies have, which you mentioned was like to save the planet, it's from climate change or whatever, all these socioeconomic things, this and that if they just take over the world leaders, then they'll make this world peace, right? And this was the conversation that Adebayo and PeaceMaker had in the waiting room as Harcourt's in the ER or in surgery or whatever. Like she asked him why she didn't just, join the butterflies. I thought that was your, whole mission, was that you'll do anything for peace, and you didn't do it. And she actually judges, like assumes that he made that decision because he's this ultra like right-wing libertarian, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody can tell me what to do, kind of American, right? But no, he says no, because that means I'd lose all my friends. All my friends would be butterflies.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of what you see that's left in PeaceMaker, out of all the shit that he can't hold dear, is loyalty. Because he tries to get loyalty from his father, and his father came to fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And yet it's this black ops team. Like even Harcourt and Adebayo have the argument about what loyalty and what team, and what it means to be a soldier in this means, right? And then that last remaining bit of what's important to PeaceMaker, is friendship.
Yeah.
His relationship is that Adebayo and all these people who fucking hate him are his friends. He got over the hump that his friends are like inanimate, like a fucking alien butterfly, an eagle, and this hyper autistic kid.
Who he doesn't consider him his best friend.
Yeah, he doesn't consider him his best friend.
He just considers that PeaceMaker's his best friend.
But how his character has grown to accept all these different walks of life, of different types of American people that we see, become his best friends.
Yeah.
And like even with his relationship with Harcourt, he's not just trying to fuck her anymore. Like he's having a genuine relationship with her. It's like, dude, James Gunn, that's just fucking A+.
PeaceMaker is one of the most, I would say, the most complete superhero series ever.
Yeah.
It has everything that I want in terms of story, acting, character development, even the cinematography. I was telling Ed this too. It's like the way that it's shot has like even an indie vibe to it.
Yeah.
It's very artistic for something so goofy.
Yeah. It's a whole lot of natural light.
Yes.
Which a lot of people like filming in like Seattle and Vancouver, BC is the Canadian Hollywood. Because the cloudy skies 200 days of the year just makes an even like
everybody
light.
looks so good.
But
it just looked a lot of like handheld shots, not a lot of things on sticks. It just had like a really good raw feel to it, which I was kind of shocked. I didn't think that the cinematography of a superhero film would be like that. So it was just a really pleasant surprise. It just had everything that I really enjoyed. I like looking at series 2 where it ends, where it feels complete, where I actually don't want more because I think like this is good. Don't fuck with this anymore. And I'll just go back and watch it again. Maybe they'll do like a follow-up of this, but I wonder how
they definitely have announced a season 2.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
It's just so I wonder how they're going to top this first season.
Yeah, I have no idea. Because, okay, so at the end, we see that the ghost of his father starts following him around. But the ghost of his father is kind of helping him.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting, like, character turn, like, or where his story goes, right? So the ghost of his father starts haunting him, because PeaceMaker killed his father. As if there's a difference, killed, murdered. And I feel like the next season would be very interesting character study, deeper into how he struggles to live with, because like my father passed away too, right? And I'm only left with the memories of who he is and how he applies into my life now. A lot of things that I cut out and a lot of things that still make me who I am today. So I'm very interested in how the second season comes about with the ghost of his racist, evil father following him around.
That'd be very fucking interesting.
Yeah. So it can be anything because I didn't know shit about who PeaceMaker is in the comics or any of that shit. I mean, you can find it online, but where he's taking it anyway, like I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Yeah, for sure.
Well, guys, that wraps up this episode of the Genius Brain Podcast, where we covered PeaceMaker. For a long time coming, a lot of people have been asking for this, but fuck, was this really, 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 really good. If you don't know anything about comic books or you don't give a shit about comic books, just watch PeaceMaker.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. It's just that fucking good. It almost looks like it almost seems like a series that just makes fun of superheroes.
Yeah. It's like the Deadpool for DC, but it's not so meta, but it's also like Watchmen. Where it looks at to what superheroes would be like in the real world, actually, like these crazy people. Yeah.
Well, guys, you can catch Ed at Ed Park VP and Genius Brains every Sundays at 12 p.m. And we'll see you all next time. Peace.